Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off at manscaped.com/chat. Promo code chat. 8 million men around the world have purchased their products. Hop on board, join the movement. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. So we start off today's show with this, and we'll also talk about Kenneth Gainwell on the program today as well. An insane trade rumor from Bleacher Report, linking the Philadelphia Eagles to future Hall of Famer and one of the best defenders of all time in Aaron Donald. It's crazy. I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm going to explain those reasons why. Also coming up is Kenneth Gainwell solidifying himself as RB1 over DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, and of course Boston Scott, who's more so that specialty back. So let's start to get into today's show, because I'm really interested with this Aaron Donald trade rumor here put out there by Bleacher Report, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. We're going to be doing a watch party, by the way, Saturday for preseason game number 1 right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. So make sure you join us, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. This is why you turn on your notifications, by the way, because anytime we push out a video, anytime we go live, you will be notified. Live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways, and a whole lot of fun. So let's get you caught up on the Aaron Donald latest here. There's been chatter about the Rams trying to move off of Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald. And you think about what the Rams have done this offseason. All signs kind of point to a tank. They tried to trade and restructure the contract of Matthew Stafford. They traded away Jalen Ramsey to get out from underneath that contract. They released Bobby Wagner because they didn't want to play him any longer. They've made several moves to really cut money off their salary cap. And Aaron Donald might be the next chess piece. But here's my issue with this trade idea from Bleacher Report. The Philadelphia Eagles, as we know, ladies and gentlemen, are set at defensive tackle. So why pay a massive price tag for an aging player at a position in which you're pretty deep at? I like these players from Philadelphia at defensive tackle on the interior of this defensive line. Fletcher Cox had a really good season last year with 7 sacks. He can still play and still has gas left in the tank. There's a story to be told for Fletcher Cox because other teams like the New York Jets wanted to pay him a lot of money. He decided to come back on a hometown discount. Jordan Davis is in better shape. At 6'6", 340, he could be a dominant player at nose tackle, defensive tackle. You use the 9th overall pick on Jalen Carter, who arguably could have been the best player in this draft class and probably would have gone number 1 to the Chicago Bears if the Bears, 1, didn't trade out of that spot, and 2, he didn't run into those legal situations. And then Milton Williams, the third-year player out of Louisiana Tech, he's silently been having a good training camp. And last year, I thought he really started to come on at the end of the year. He looks to be in great shape. So I want to see what all these players can do. Aaron Donald would really get in the way on the depth chart of all these players seeing time, and they're all a lot more affordable than Aaron Donald. Now, here's what Bleacher Report had to say about this. The Philadelphia Eagles are one team that may not seem like an obvious landing spot for Donald, but they would benefit more than most from acquiring him. Adding a player of his caliber to a defense that already reached the Super Bowl last year could push this group over the top in 2023. I don't necessarily disagree because he's still really good. The move might look a tad redundant on paper due to the presence of players like Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis, but Donald's presence would make this defensive line nearly unstoppable. He'd also be the perfect player to bridge the gap between the aging veterans and the team's next wave of defensive line stars, like first-round pick Jalen Carter and 2021 third-rounder Milton Williams. The Eagles would likely have to send over at least a first-round pick and possibly more to pry Donald away from the only franchise he's ever played for, but the move would be worth it. There's no question that Aaron Donald on your football team would improve your roster. But it all comes down to the price tag, and it comes down to the need. And the Eagles don't have a clear need at defensive tackle like they do at linebacker, like they do at safety. So here's the trade idea from Bleacher Report, where the Eagles get Donald, and the Rams receive a 2024 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick. If I'm Howie Roseman, I'm valuing this draft capital to either use it for myself or use it to propel up the board in round 1 to get a better player. Keep in mind, the Jalen Hurts contract extension is going to start to come into play after this year. So you're going to be a little bit tighter on the cap. The salary cap is going to continue to rise because these TV deals are lucrative and the business of the NFL is booming. But Devontae Smith and a contract extension is looming. A contract restructure for Hassan Reddick could be down the pipeline. You want to be able to retain some of your young players as well, and Aaron Donald keeps you from doing that. The Eagles have the capital to give up for him, but they are set at defensive tackle, and Aaron Donald is too expensive. I also think that Jalen Carter is totally capable of getting year one snaps. His presence has been felt by some of the offensive guards for Philadelphia in training camp so far. And the athletic agility that he has with the speed-power combination really does fascinate me. So pick one player that you'd want to see play a little bit more. Is it Aaron Donald type AD? Is it Jalen Carter type JC? I'm going with the young bull right here in Jalen Carter. Now we're going to talk about Kenneth Gainwell because what's trending for Philadelphia here is this RB1 competition. Gainwell has increasingly been used like a feature back during Eagles training camp, and it looks as though he could be the guy. You talk about Gainwell as an RB1 here. He's been used increasingly on early downs. DeAndre Swift has been used more so as the Eagles' third down back and receiving back, and Gainwell occupied that Swift role last year. So that does paint a picture as well. They're using Swift, and Chip, we could go to Manscaped read right after this, and then we can look at Gainwell's numbers. You think about Gainwell, right? His role now is what Miles Sanders had last year as the early down back, first and second down. And then DeAndre Swift is being used as the pass-catching back, which is what Gainwell had last year. Clearly, the Eagles have a plan here, and it looks as though Gainwell is gaining traction as RB1, and DeAndre Swift might be the backup and the specialty back because he's a really talented ball catcher out of the backfield. We're going to take a look at Kenneth Gainwell's numbers here in just a second because I do believe he's capable of being RB1 and being successful in this offense, behind this offensive line. First, though, let's tell you about Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. Promo code chat for that deal to apply. And it's summertime. I hope all of you out there are having a fantastic summer. It is winding down a little bit, so now it's time to hop on board the Manscaped train. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to guarantee you'll have the most mouth-watering treats at your barbecue parties this summer. They have built the ultimate bundle for your summer grooming. Their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, as part of the premium package, features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, which means you're not going to get it cut up below the belt because that's not good. You don't want a nightmare in the bedroom. Now that you can feel safe wearing a low-cut swimsuit without any stragglers peeking out, use Manscaped's Liquid Preserver Ball Deodorant, keeping you cool from sunrise to sunset. With the soothing aloe vera formula, it's the best in the business for below-the-waist freshness. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0. The Manscaped Boxer Briefs and the Shed Travel Bag. These boxer briefs, I'm not shitting you. The most comfortable boxer briefs that I have ever worn in my life, especially when I go on runs because I'm on another big run streak here in Dallas. So get it all right now. Manscaped.com/chat. Promo code chat for that deal to apply. We're going to put that link in the comment section. We're going to put it in the description of this video. So we further this conversation here about Kenneth Gainwell, and he's been a pretty good value pick after getting drafted out of Memphis for Philadelphia. Of course, he was always behind Miles Sanders on that depth chart, but the real ones know. He's been able to display a lot of ability here. In 2021, 68 carries, 291 yards, 5 touchdowns, more than 4 yards per carry, and 33 catches. While his usage went down in year 2, there's a reason for that. Miles Sanders had a career year. Double-digit touchdowns, the most in his career. He was also top 5 in the league in rushing yards, and Philadelphia aired it out a lot. So goes to show you how good Sanders was a year ago. So the production and the numbers for Gainwell did dip. Carries decreased by 15. Yards went down from 291 to 240. Touchdowns at 4. 4.5 yards per carry, though. That went up. And his receptions went down by 10. But in the NFL playoffs, he sneakily emerged as Philadelphia's #1 back. He was really good. And in fact, one of the best running backs in the NFL playoffs last year. 33 carries, 181 yards, and a touchdown, 5.5 yards per carry. He went off against the New York Giants, and when Miles Sanders fumbled early in that game in the Super Bowl, Kenneth Gainwell was kind of put in there, thrust into a larger role than what Philadelphia anticipated. So I think that Gainwell has the inside track here to be RB1, but who are you going with to win this battle? And either way, I think the depth at this position is pretty good for Philadelphia because you have Gainwell, you have Swift, you have Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, Trey Sermon if he makes this team, and that is a combination of very versatile options for Philadelphia here. Coming up next on the show, just going to quickly, Chip, take some questions and super chats. Where are we at on time, by the way? Yeah, let's take some quick questions and super chats here. We saw a couple of those come through for everybody watching our live show on Eagles Now using the hashtag Eagles. So we'll start to filter through some of those. Flipping the Bird 85 with the $20 super chat, one of our real ones, and the winner of a couple of super chat giveaways last year during our watch parties, which do return on Saturday. I would only get Aaron Donald before the trade deadline if we're set for the playoffs by that time, and we don't have to give up the farm like one of our 2024 second-round picks and a 1 or 2 late-round 2024 picks and maybe a player. See, that's when I would think about making a move if injuries happen. If you're depleted at a certain position, if there's a clear weakness that's holding you back from winning a Super Bowl trade deadline, it's really changed the narrative of it over the last couple of years as general managers have gotten more aggressive. When I was growing up, no deals were made at the NFL trade deadline. Now more deals are being made. Take some time to assess the players on your current roster and then readdress that position or positions at the deadline. Flipping the Bird 85, bringing the heat. Byron Nails. Philadelphia 24, Baltimore 21. It can go either way. The first preseason game is always iffy. Yeah, and I highly doubt that the Eagles are going to play a lot of their starters. But honestly, Nick Sirianni takes pride in winning ball games. And the Eagles as an organization take pride in having a deep roster. Show off that deep roster in this football game. Shane Butler, Chase Sr., who do you think will start at RB1 and 2? Well, on today's show, we talked about Kenneth Gainwell. I think it's going to be running back by committee. Gainwell might start. Swift is going to get a lot of touches, and he's going to be a really special player in this offense. Izzy B, how many players on this roster have SEC ties? Jalen was at Alabama. Wow. Let's see if I can do this with the starters here. I believe I can. Jalen Hurts at Alabama, if you want to count that. Landon Dickerson played at Alabama. You had Devontae Smith at Alabama, A.J. Brown at Ole Miss. I'm trying to go starters here. So that does it offensively, I believe. Well, DeAndre Swift did go to Georgia. I'm not sure if he's going to start. That's another SEC player, though. Dallas Goedert, he's a FCS guy. So that's offense. Defense now. Fletcher Cox went to Mississippi State. Man. Is that it on the defensive side of the ball? Nakobe Dean went to Georgia. Carter and Davis, not starters, but backups. Hassan Reddick went to Temple. Brandon Graham went to Michigan. Avonte Maddox went to Pitt. James Bradbury. Where did James Bradbury go to school? I kind of forget, but I don't think he's an SEC guy. Izzy B putting us to the test right there. I like that. I always like those questions because it allows you to kind of rack your brain a little bit. Where did Bradbury go, do you know? Arkansas State. I thought he was a small school guy. Adam Singleton, one of our real ones, chiming in. I know it's still early, but what is your prediction on the Eagles' win-loss record? I think it's 13-4. They won 14 games last year. Schedule gets a little bit difficult. The Eagles did have the best record in the NFL last year against teams with a winning record. And everybody wants to say they had a cupcake schedule. They didn't. Sharp Football Analysis with that good note. So 13-4, it's difficult to go 14-13 wins back-to-back, but the Eagles certainly are a pretty loaded bunch. Really good starters, premium players, good depth. They've been relatively healthy the last 2 years, top 4 in injury rate under Nick Sirianni. If they're healthy, they should win anywhere between 11 and 14 games, in my opinion. Cool Rains tuned in from Australia. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Can't believe the season starts in less than a month. We are coming. Yeah, we're already kind of in the midway point of August. Preseason football on Saturday. I'd make the argument the season's pretty much already here. And then 30-46. Do you think that Jalen Carter will get in legal trouble this season and be unable to play? What should we do? No, I think that situation has passed him. He didn't legally do anything wrong other than speeding. At least the investigation hasn't shown that yet. Some people wanted to say he left the scene, but he didn't because there was body cam footage of him being at the scene. So, look, I used to cover news stories up in northeastern Pennsylvania at WNEP, one of the most watched local news stations in the country in that Scranton area. And these legal situations, they take a long time to actually play out. Of note is that the University of Georgia actually fired the staffer who filed a lawsuit against Jalen Carter and the Georgia Athletic Department. That happened, I believe, on Wednesday. So that's of note too. Does that give you a peek at that investigation as well? That does it for today's segment. Make sure you subscribe to the show, youtube.com/EaglesNow. Even easier for all of you, just hit that subscribe button down below. We appreciate you for being real ones and supporting the program as always.